everyone. Welcome to another episode of the QubicaAMF Tech Tip Podcast. This is a weekly podcast where we take you on a journey through the fascinating world of bowling technology and beyond. I'm your host, Orly, and today we have a returning guest. We have Kyle Burns on with us today. If you had a chance to listen to the show before, Kyle has joined us quite a few times already, and we always like having Kyle. So Kyle, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Doing great, Orly. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, thanks for doing it. And, I know I ask you every single time to kind of let us know what you do with QubicaAMF and, but I'm going to ask again because somebody could be new to the show. So Kyle, can you let everybody know, your position and what you do?
Absolutely. So I am within the technical support department here at QubicaAMF. I am the documentation specialist. So basically it's my job to make sure both internal, external documents about troubleshooting, tech tips, things of that nature, putting that together, getting that stuff out, make sure our techs are up to speed on everything, and make sure that all you guys out there have something that you can use to troubleshoot with us. It's over on the CMR site, the technical resources. Check it out if you haven't.
Yeah, thanks again for joining. You always bring some great tips, great knowledge here to the show. So today what I wanted to talk about was money, because everybody loves money. And one thing I know people don't like about money is when, they get shorted or, nobody wants anybody to take their money or any kind of any missing money. So I was kind of curious, do you ever have anyone call, and they're saying, Conquer is saying I should have this much money in credit card transactions, but then when they're seeing their deposit, like the next day, it's not matching up.
Right. Yeah. So we've seen this a couple times. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a huge common thing, but it has cropped up on occasion. So we've done a little bit of digging with this, gone back and forth with a couple different stakeholders involved in a lot of this. And what we found out is generally what's going on here is that there is an issue on your processor side. Processor would be, say, First Data Fiserv or WorldPay, FIS Global. So what basically happens is when customer runs their card, it kind of goes through sort of an initial hold on it, right? You've probably seen that in your own bank account. If you go check, you'll see something stuck in like a pending state.
Yeah.
So what happens there is that's being held over on that processor to basically do what's called a transaction settlement with both of the banks, right? The customer's bank and then the merchant's bank. Once those are kind of linked up, they consider it settled and the money is deposited. According to the processors, there has been a complete industry-wide, and by industry-wide, we don't just mean like bowling, FEC, we mean anybody that processes credit cards. It could be the bodega, the supermarket, your Walmarts even. Pretty much anybody that's taking credit cards has run into this issue. So what happens is sometimes these transactions kind of get stuck in what's called an unsettled state, where it's sitting on the processor's end, and for whatever reason during its daily batching, it just wasn't able to automatically settle that transaction between the customer and the merchant's bank account.
Okay. And if someone's noticing this, what can they do to resolve this, or where would they report this to?
So the best thing you could do about this, one, knowledge is key. So you have to catch it. You got to have somebody at least doing some sort of kind of bookkeeping or reconciliation. Recommend it honestly every day, probably in the morning. Just real quick, pull your report out of Concur, go check your bank, and just check within your Concur reporting. You can put a checkbox under the show payment types. What that's going to do is it's going to blow out your revenue. So it'll show you how much revenue you had gotten from all your payment types, say that be cash or credit card or say cashless, like an embed and intercard type thing. So it'll show you the numbers on that Concur said had been processed through the system. Then you can go into your bank and go check how much was deposited from your credit card processor. Those should always reconcile together and be the same. If for any reason it isn't, the first thing you should do is call your processor. That be First Data or WorldPay. Because what will generally happen is, again, you'll give them your merchant number and you'll say, hey, my reporting for my POS shows that I should have had this much revenue for the day, but for some reason I was only deposited this much. What's going on? Probably about near 100%, probably about 99% of the time, what they're going to come back with is they're going to say, okay, yeah, you have a couple unsettled transactions here. What we can do is we can just manually process them right now. And then that'll take care of it for you. What they'll do is they'll basically just manually settle it, get the money moved over. You'll probably see it in about the next day or two. So that's going to be the best way to do it. What you shouldn't do is wait. The worst thing you can do is wait on it, because generally there's a kind of time frame for when they're going to be able to go manually settle those transactions. Usually it'll go back 90 days. Sometimes they can grab it back farther than that. The problem with that becomes this will open you up to the potential of a chargeback, because what's going to happen is when they go to manually settle it, that charge is now going to hit that customer's account. So if the customer is real on top of checking, all the charges on their credit cards, on their debit cards, and they see, oh, I went there 2 months ago and that was the last time I've been there, but why is it charging me today? They're probably going to call their bank or their credit card company and issue a chargeback saying, hey, this is fraudulent. I wasn't there today. And probably there's a good chance that the credit card company is probably going to side with the customer there and then take the money back. So do not wait. Try to be on top of it as much as you can, because again, the typical sort of pending hold, everyone's kind of seen that on their account. It lasts a couple days. Yeah. So, if you're doing it like the next day, no customer's ever really going to notice that. By the time they go and check it, it's going to be settled. It's going to be paid out. They're not going to think twice about it. Oh yeah, I went there bowling on Tuesday and now it's, Friday. Oh, it's been paid. Okay. Well, yeah, I went there just a couple days ago. That makes sense.
All right. So yeah, definitely key is keep an eye on, like you said, going back to kind of having somebody do bookkeeping and keep an eye on your numbers daily. It's going to make a huge difference. And like he mentioned, make sure to give someone a call right away. So you don't lose that money. Nobody likes to lose money. We all know it happens and can happen, but if we could prevent it, then why not? So Kyle, again, thank you for joining the show. And as I mentioned, Kyle's been on past shows. So if you're new to the show and just listening for the first time, make sure to go back and listen to these shows. There's so much knowledge from so many different trainers and different guests that we've had on. And yeah, it could definitely help you in your center. And, everyone could always use a tech tip. So until next time, we appreciate it, Kyle. We will talk to you soon.
Thank you, Orly.